Senator Lankford.
Chairman, thank you. Thanks for being here in the dialogue on this. So as I look at the Energy Information Agency and some of their facts and data that they put out in the past year, they anticipate over the next 30 years an increasing demand for oil, gas, coal, renewables. They predict that nuclear is going to go down actually globally over the next couple of years, but there's a lot of issues that are there. So my question is, they're projecting an increased demand globally for oil, gas, and coal. What is America's part in that? You talked about the permitting, the liquefied natural gas, and increasing that ability to be able to get that out. What else are we going to do to help meet that demand? Because clearly we don't want Russia to be able to meet that demand and others. What are you actively putting in place, knowing that the prediction is over the next 30 years we're going to need an increasing supply worldwide?
Yeah, clearly worldwide and in the United States, I mean, the demand for electrification and for more energy generally is going up as certainly the developing world gains more access to advanced technologies, et cetera. This is really an opportunity for the U.S. to lead, not just inside the U.S., but the world. And we have done that, certainly in we are the #1 exporter of liquefied natural gas, the #1, all of that. But we can also do the same thing with nuclear technology, advanced nuclear technology, and we have partnerships with countries, particularly the Eastern Bloc, and some others around the world who are really interested in developing that. The same is true with advanced technologies related to hydrogen.
Right. All those are pretty far on the horizon at this point. For instance, we were having a conversation who we're going to vote for today and who I'll be voting for as well, dealing with nuclear energy later on today. When she was sitting in the same chair and we were talking about this, and I asked, when's the next nuclear power plant going to be permitted in the United States? The hope was by the end of the decade. Now, I appreciate her honest answer on that, but when we talk about trying to add more nuclear in this and more other advanced whether it be hydrogen, whatever it may be, we're decades away. As we anticipate for the next 30 years or so, and I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, this is a complicated formula. We all know where we're headed long term, but we all know it's not next year, the next year. It's a slow process to be able to get there. The anticipation is for the next 30 years at least, we're going to have increasing demands for oil, gas, coal. If we continue to allow infrastructure to be able to die off in the next 30 years, we're going to continue to have price spikes if we continue to discourage investment in those areas. You've read, I'm sure, the J.P. Morgan study to be able to look at the CapEx deficit in oil and gas especially. Just in those two areas, they anticipate in the next 8 years we have a CapEx deficit investment of $720 billion in the United States. That's a big number. That is we're not investing enough into what we know we're going to need. So the question I'm trying to figure out is, what are we doing to address that? Because if we have declining infrastructure and increasing demand, at least for the next 30 years, we have a problem coming that's going to continue to rise.
But you see, the globe is moving toward decarbonizing solutions. And so that's why what you all have provided, maybe not you, but many have provided in the bipartisan infrastructure law for the investments in carbon capture, for example, to help decarbonize the existing fossil fuel. That's what the world is asking for as well. And that's why Wall Street...
No, I get it. I'm just trying to figure out, but the infrastructure still has to be there in place. We still have to have pipelines to be able to move it.
Yes.
Again, Energy Information Agency says in the next 30 years, we're going to have an increasing demand for oil, gas, and coal.
Yes.
But we have a decreasing investment into those areas. That's a bad formula for us. That's what I'm trying to see. What are y'all doing, looking over the horizon to see how
that's what I'm saying is that we have to provide the technology to do what the world is asking for, which is to provide energy solutions, whether they're fossil fuel-based or they're renewable-based or other clean technologies that are moving in the direction that the world is headed, which is to decarbonize. And so for the natural gas industry, that means addressing the methane flaring and the methane leakage so that those technologies become much more accessible and desired across the world. Those are the solutions that will help to increase
I think we're literally talking past each other on this because you're answering a question I'm not asking. And so I wish we had more time to be able to...
You're saying, what are we doing?
Right.
Right. What are we doing? We're developing the technologies that will make those very things that you're talking about more in demand. The reason why Wall Street, one of the reasons why Wall Street is projected to continue to pressure down on CapEx is because they too want to see a movement toward clean. These oil and gas industries, some of the businesses are diversifying into broader energy companies.
Sure.
But that's where everybody's going.
But it's interesting you mentioned the Wall Street thing. When Wall Street actually answers this question, they have 4 different reasons. And you said this is not what the Dallas Fed says, but when Wall Street answers the same question of why they're not doing some of this investment, one of their answers is restricted access to capital. The other one is uncertain regulatory outlook for fossil fuels. It's tough to be able to do an investment into a pipeline that everyone knows we're going to need for the next 30 years plus, because even the Biden administration's own numbers say we're going to continue to need that, but it's tough to actually do that investment.
But the point is, excuse me for interrupting you, the point is, I don't think we're talking past each other. The existing pipeline, I mean, to Senator Manchin's point, we should be investing in pipelines that are ready for the next generation technologies as well. We should be investing in pipelines that have buttoned down the problem that the world is trying to solve, which is climate change. So investing in leak-free infrastructure, making sure that infrastructure is ready to be converted. The technology solutions are how we're going to get there by decarbonizing the existing fossil fuel offerings and increasing clean and renewable.
Sometime we'll get more time to be able to clarify this, to be able to go from there. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you.